Good. What is it? Not yet afternoon. Good morning. We'll try to be a little bit more interactive because we have learned and listened a lot, but we try to provoke, I think, a little bit. So let me welcome our panelists. First of all, I would like to welcome Lisa. Lisa, welcome. Please be seated. Lisa is working at Sinch and was the winner. Sinch was the winner of the MEF Sustainability Award just now in Barcelona. So well done to Sinch. Then we have Asa. Asa, Infobip. Please join us. And Jan Tore, please, Link Mobility. Yeah, that's nice and cozy. So before we head off on the topic, on the trends, maybe a brief introduction of what you do within the company and what your company is doing. Let's start with you, Asa.
Oh, and this one. Let's see if we can do that. Okay? No? Now.
Yes.
So I am responsible for all of our mobile relationships within the Nordics and the Baltics, and also the Netherlands. And apart from that, I'm working on two other partner projects. So working as a partner manager for our reseller partnership with Tele2, and also our quite newly partnership that we have with Nokia, connecting Camara and all of the identity products.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. Lisa?
Hi, my name is Lisa Lundell. I'm with Sinch. I'm based in Stockholm, Sweden. I'm responsible for our cooperation with Sinch's operator partners in Latin America and in Europe.
That's a big area. And a big time change.
I'm not doing it by myself.
Yeah.
I have some friends.
It's interesting because we saw some figures from Gavin also about Brazil being big. Maybe you can refer to that later. Jan Tore, please.
Jan Tore Kjær, Sales and Marketing Director in Link Mobility. I have a passion for working directly with the customers and partners. Really the value chain, what is worth to whom for the end user, from a perspective, of course, in SMS, RCS, marketing automation, etc. So that's my big passion. Yeah. Talking to the customers.
Yes. Yeah. Without the customers, we're nowhere. But let's talk a little bit about the OTT and the trends. What you see in the Nordics, and supposed to SMS, RBM. What do you see happening, and how are you working with that?
You have the mic. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I think my colleagues here might agree that so far WhatsApp in the Nordics area has not been really taken up in such a strong way. And that I think can be a factor of a few things, one of which is that a few of the panelists earlier talked about is that we have a very well-functioning market for messaging in the Nordics, where traditionally there has been high usage from the end user. There's been a functioning market model, and there has been players that have done a really good job establishing the market and bringing continuous level of new use cases to the technology and bringing the technology to the customers, our mutual customers who ultimately receive the messages.
Yeah. So you want to react? That's
I checked my phone sitting here, WhatsApp. Of course, I get messages every day almost, but it's P2P groups, a group of football people interested in football, like 100 people, and sending messages. But I only had 3 business messages, and they were traveling. Big international brands and hotels when traveling. That's the only thing I got. And I've been in the business for 10 years, and I've been using WhatsApp as long as I can remember. And this is the result of what we see in the Nordics, especially Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland is a little bit different. We'll come back to that probably.
No, but I agree. It's strange, though, because and with the RCS adoption, if we think about the parallel, is that, yeah, we have a stable market in terms of cost and all of that, but we also suffering from a lot of fraud and uncertainty of delivery of SMSs with click a link and so forth. And I think that parallel to not WhatsApp providing a secure channel is why it's not really, would be one of the things why it's not really working. But also to Jan's point is that WhatsApp is still seen as a very private channel. And to Hassan's point earlier also with the opt-in from a company perspective. So from that perspective, the markets in the Nordics are really positioned for RCS. But we're also high on Apple or iPhones. So we are in a very interesting road at the next couple of months on what's going to happen with the parallel channels, how they're going to work. Because we also have the demographic perspective of things, which we haven't really touched on earlier today. But with the younger generation, I mean, most of them don't even use any of the apps that we're talking about. Mm-hmm. They're messaging on something totally different. And I think that they're going to want to see the brands that they want to interact with on those channels as well.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If you think about, and ourselves, what messages are you checking? Are you still checking if you have an SMS in your inbox or not? I mean, you're almost old-fashioned to send an SMS. Huh? But, of course, in the A2P, it's a bit different. You wanted to say something about Finland, and of course, we were talking about the penetration.
Yeah. What we see is that, of course, in the Nordics, Norway, Sweden, Denmark has no history for using WhatsApp that way. We see in Finland now, and especially with the prices, the biggest competition for RCS, the biggest, what should I say, dark clouds, is the price difference. Mm-hmm. Because the new prices that Meta comes with the WhatsApp now, July 1st, is 12 times lower than the RCS conversational in Norway. And when you look at brands, if you're going to pay 12 times more, that's a big gap. We're talking cost price now, not reseller price, but it will be the same anyway. So there are big challenges, and the challenges we have in those three countries compared to Finland. Yep. It's going to be hard to change that in Norway. But there are positive things about WhatsApp too, that could really take a bigger portion in these three countries because of price if brands start using it. Mm.
I would layer on top of that as well. If you look at kind of the key criteria of a messaging app, I think RCS, SMS has a tremendous strength in that it's the native inbox. We've got the most users, etc., on those channels. We have a challenge, as everybody's addressed this morning, in terms of getting Apple on board, because we have large penetration of Apple. But where there is opportunity for challengers to the messaging business, the traditional messaging business, is really in the agility. That there is, players that have global messaging offers, where they can decide overnight, this is what the model is going to be, and the challengers, the tradition of the challenger is that, they've got everything to win, and the existing markets have everything to lose.
Yeah.
And so once, they're going to take market shares, if they take market shares, it's very difficult to win it back. So I think we as an industry need to think very carefully, and we need to cooperate to offer the strongest, most, least friction solution as possible in order to encourage adoption. So we need to be on top of this. Yeah.
And it's interesting you mentioned that. And Asa, you mentioned on the urgency of the next month. Eh? That is in telco a bit, let's say, fast, I would say. Being with MEF for 20 plus years, I think we have seen a lot of new technology coming. But very often it takes really a cooperation in the ecosystem. Yeah? And especially in a case like this, we see, and we saw that in the, let's say, the global market presentation from Gavin, we saw there the enormous uptake in India. In a discussion we had yesterday, it was also touched upon that Indonesia is a huge market, fast growing, with RCM. But when I Googled myself, why is RCM not picking up in the Nordics? The answer from Google is, yeah, it's a very fragmented market. Yeah? So you have small markets, fragmented, let's say different players, of course, which is very healthy for the consumers. Different languages, yeah. So how can we propel, and how can you counterfight, let's say, if that is needed, the threat of the OTT players? You touched upon cost, yeah. But there are more things to that. You need to have the systems in place. You need to have the awareness, the education. Maybe we have to look at the regulation. What is your take to that? You explained that you work together with Tele2 in Sweden to educate the market. Is education for you the critical point that we go a little bit faster?
Yeah, I mean, this is... Again, if we're thinking about demographics also, maybe most of us in this room are more like, we know telecoms, we know what they can do, we know what they can offer. But to the younger generation, they get their information somewhere else. So we need to collaborate on all things, and we're touching on this later today with, you know, smooth integration of getting you up and running and all of those things. It's a key point, especially if we're talking about RCS. But I think that we also, especially for us as aggregators, we can't close any doors. We have to be offering everything that the consumer is asking about, the brand, the organization, or the end consumer. But when collaborating with MNOs, we need to support with the market knowledge that we have, but we rely on a lot on their customer base, of course. Also, we were talking about drinking your own champagne. It's super important. Tele2 is good with that. They're starting to show it in the market. And then together educate the market. So one thing that we did was that we've hosted webinars together, just to educate brands and organizations on what are the values, how can you integrate, how can you automate, what type of ROI will you get. We even have had a current customer joining in when we talked about use cases. And from their perspective, they said that, you know, a regular SMS with 160 characters doesn't do it for us. We can't slim our messaging down to that one. We're already paying for 2 SMSs, so why don't we use RCS instead and gain the trust, the content, the conversational piece with interaction and so forth. So I think we can't limit to just looking at one thing. We have to do everything parallel. As an industry. But I think from a consumer perspective, especially in the Nordics, and especially I know from Sweden, is that trust is a big thing when it comes to delivering these types of messages.
Yeah, trust comes with, let's say, also with security, yep. Verification. Mm-hmm. I think there's one of the key roles of the mobile operators, I think. What about security and the systems you implement, firewall systems? Have you looked at that angle, and is that supporting the growth or not, and supporting trust? Because we had one example yesterday in the nice get-together whereby somebody showed a Vodafone message saying, well, this is verified but not secured. And then you get a WhatsApp message which says, this is end-to-end encrypted. But is end-to-end encrypted now secure or not? So the consumers and the uptake from the consumers is, if you think, okay, it is encrypted, sounds like secured, but is it verified? So in this whole, let's say, yeah, you want to react as well?
Yeah, especially in Nordics, we have something called Sender ID protection for the SMS. I don't know, too many places in the world have that. That has helped us to try to make less fraud, but we still have some, but we have narrowed it down a lot in the Nordics. And if you look at the RCS, well, we don't want, here in Norway, we don't want the RCS to be verified by Google. We want it to be verified Telenor, Telia, eyes from the operator, because that's your customer who you talk to. I think if the customer get verified by Google in the face right away, you're going to open it. That's not trustworthy. They don't care about Google.
Yeah.
They are a subscription with Telenor. If Telenor tells me it's good, then it's good.
Yeah.
So the trust comes with the first interaction, and that is a lot with the RCS too. The human brain, if you like what you see within 0.1 second, you like it. If not, it's gone. You see that on social medias. So the RCS has a very strong position, because I say it's like messaging on steroids. Is the next level. There are 3 channels into one. You have the all the functionality in email, all the functionalities on an app, and traditional SMS into one channel. And the aim goal is not to never leave the channel.
Yeah.
You interact, you look at a picture, you click, you pay, you do everything, you never leave it. And that is a strong part of that. And none of the OTT channels can offer that today. You are leaving, and the good thing about RCS, you can track everything. If you have the right consent, you can track whatever the person does to click, even if it's notification, customer care, or marketing. I'm going to stop there, but because we think in Link Mobility that those 3 main bulks of channels will come into one. Because if you receive an RCS on a customer service, it's so easy after you answered and click to put out some ad sales, some extra, give me some more information, and even that on notification. With the basic, single, and messaging, you have 3 good choices to start somewhere and end up on messaging on steroids.
Yeah, but that also needs then to educate the consumers, not only in B2B. I think there maybe the role of the operator can also be more outspoken. Lisa, you also wanted to interact on this, or you want to skip it?
Well, I think security and trust are critical. I think that's something that, in terms of the integrity of the channel and protecting the channel, we've also done a very good job in the Nordics in terms of pioneering some of these protections that we have in place here. I think as well that if I'm to turn it around in terms of the OTTs coming in the market, it's also good to encourage a healthy market and to encourage adoption. If I look at the reason why WhatsApp exists today is largely because the inability of the good old SMS to send a group chat messages, to send rich communications, etc. So I think it's healthy to have the challengers in the market as well. And I think we sitting on this side of the stage also have a responsibility to help the brands reach the consumer in the right channel, in the right moment, in the way that they prefer.
Yeah, yeah. And in your opinion, how are the enterprise customers reacting to the offering and the price points which we discussed before?
Well, I mean, there is no doubt about it that price is important. Someone was mentioning earlier, I think it might have been Igor, that the people that are purchasing these services at the enterprises that are sending these messages, this isn't their core competency, this isn't their core business. This is just a way to communicate with their clients. So you have a certain limited, finite budget in order to be able to communicate with your clients. So that's obviously something that people are thinking about. But it's also in terms of we as an industry being able to show all of these fantastic use cases where you can really increase the interaction, the engagement with the customer, really enriching the customer experience. And in turn, as you enrich the customer experience, then you're enabling, more click-throughs, more interaction, higher conversion to purchase, and also the potential for reoccurring revenues when you have this model where it's, you're able to send reminders that, okay, you bought this service last month or you bought this product last month. It's about time to restock. And so when you have creative, engaging strategies to be able to talk with the consumer, that's powerful. And something that sorry, just one last point is that we haven't even touched the iceberg here with in terms of personalized, Sinch we've got personalized mobile video communications. That level where it's personalized video interaction, I mean, it really enables, a completely different customer experience.
Yeah.
I just wanted to add brand identity as well. I mean, we're living in a digital age. We, as a market where we're supposed to push that forward, we also have a responsibility to really share what that really means.
Yeah, yeah. I think as Han mentioned there, the first phase of engagement and the importance of the brand. Yeah, I have a question up there. You have an elephant in the room to address?
Thank you. I just have a question in terms of RCS and clicking links that are coming. How are we going to educate the users to dare to do that, considering how much we've destroyed the market of sending fake messages where it looks like it's coming from an operator or a company, whatever, in the market, and we tell our kids, my daughter is well educated of not clicking anything. How do we get them to do that?
I mean, there's different ways, but I think one thing that we are advocating is a bit like if you want to make your audience aware beforehand of now we are introducing this new technology, you will be receiving messages from us, X, Y, Z, in terms of that. But there's a lot of different ways. But of course, that's something that we need to make sure that they understand that it's so the trusted. The shield, I mean, it's important for them to understand that if you click on that, you will actually see who it's coming from. Yeah. And that it is verified by Google.
Yeah, by the operator. I just have to answer to that too. We have one of the biggest insurance companies in the Nordics. We have been sending RCS to them now, to all Android phones. And what we started is like warming up a little bit, and we told them that you have to use your data. Our RCS is not going to be a bulk sender. You're not sending out 1.5 million, same message. You have to do your segmentation. You have to get the information. So when you receive the RCS into the inbox, you got your name, some information about your relationship to the brand. And here in this insurance we done, it's about your car, to collecting information about your car. They've been trying to do this for 10 years, and they got 1% that have answered. Now on the RCS, they had 89.9% opening rate and 47.7% interaction. 4% within 4 days, the rest of the 8% the next days. So we have close to like 50% actually done it compared to 1% earlier. And they've been doing everything. They even call people. People, I'm not in my car, I can't help you. Call me later. They never can do it. They never answer. We have to find the brands, and we have to segmentate them on really. And hi, we know you own Audi, and that's so spot on. Then you will answer. Yeah. And then you have a good customer. Yeah.
So sharing use cases also can help maybe to grow. There's something maybe to feed into Nick, into the strategy stream. Any other questions? Because the time runs so fast.
I just want to add, personalization is key in this trust. Yeah. So if you can prove to that user that, this is our relationship, this is our business, this is what you bought from me last month, then it takes away the concern of clicking on a link.
Yeah. I hope that was an answer to your question. Yeah. Sorry, the microphone is up at the moment. You can take it thereafter. Hereafter, we get back to the elephant.
Okay, thank you. The elephant number 2 then, this with social media messaging. If you have Meta as an example, they are making money because of they collect personal data and use that for, advertising or this business model. But it's for an operator, it's very different. We don't have that business model at the bottom there. So how can an operator make money on social media messaging? That is the question. Where do you get the money out?
Which channels are you thinking about?
No, I'm thinking social media in general, and Meta as an example. If we provide channels into, let's say, those platforms, how can we make some money out of that for A2P business when the kind of the messaging is probably, I don't know what they, if you connect to Facebook, for instance, do you pay to them, or how can you do that?
Is a question or answer?
It's more of the answer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but
You can. I'm taking your role. Sorry. I saw that. Sorry.
thank you. I think the answer to your question is you have to partner with somebody. So you can't possibly have everything covered in your portfolio. This messaging trends are super fast. The segmentation is quite different. So you have segmentation per industry, then per subscriber base, the younger, older generation, their preferences. So if you want to monetize something and you don't have it in portfolio, either you develop it or partner with somebody who can actually broaden your portfolio. So you can't keep, as an operator, everything to yourself anymore. You can't control everything. That's the basis. But for example, in cases for, I don't know, Instagram or Facebook Messenger, so you partner with a company that provides this channel, and you go together and sell this to enterprises, for example. So you get the cut because you have that most valuable thing right now. Yeah, yeah.
I can just answer one thing. If you look at, there's a Nordic country, Finland, when the SMS is pretty high, and of course, with the penetration of WhatsApp in that country, SMS to WhatsApp and delivered to the customer and WhatsApp instead of SMS, that's the dangerous part for the operators, because then they will lose a lot of money because the price of it is so low. That is not the problem in Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, but Finland, that's a big problem, going to be.
Thanks for adding that. Lisa, please.
Yeah, Per Anders, I think it's a really good question and something that we as a group here need to think about. I think you were on to something. We were having a chat during the break, actually, with regards to the level. I mean, if we look at the business model now with the A2P messaging, operators are generating a lot of gross profit from these services. At the same time, though, somewhat of the investment and the innovation has declined, I would say, over the past 10, 15 years or so, where the R&D is disappearing from many of the operators. So if we're thinking about how does the operator get more involved in these channels, I think part of that answer is the creativity and the innovation that we need to look to not just take the money and run, so to speak, but to reinvest into the business.
One final.
It's a little bit back to Guru's question before that MNOs need to invest in making sure that the competence is out there in the market about what type of channels you can use.
Final question.
Yes, and I'll be a little bit provocative. Three of you are sitting there from three large aggregators. If you had a safe gray route and you had a clean white route to terminate SMS message A2P to a customer on behalf of on behalf of a B2B customer, what would you choose?
Of course, a clean route. No question. 100%.
The two others?
Yes.
Yes. Because what we see, right, is that this topic is trust between the aggregators and the OTTs. It's quite interesting that the large OTTs are approaching us, MNOs, directly and saying, we don't want any intermediates between us as a sender and the MNO. We don't want SMPP, we want SS7, direct connections, and we want a safe, secure line directly so we can control this. When we are doing that, we go from a saw blade line up of how the traffic is flowing to a smooth line. And this gives clear indications that there are aggregators amongst us, right, which are absolutely choosing the gray route or doing also other things on behalf of the OTTs, which make them pay a lot, and again, tear down the trust of SMS A2P as a service.
Well, thanks for that. We really have to stop. We're massively over time. Thank you very much.
We were just getting somewhere then, I think, weren't we? And that was really, really productive conversation. Thank you, everybody, for that session. I absolutely loved the second elephant in the room, by the way, question, because I ran almost an identical session in London 2 weeks ago with a similar kind of number of people, and we had Sinch, Infobip on the stage, and that exact topic came up. Now, in Germany, I know that Meta had walked into the room with the German carriers and said, look, we're going to launch WhatsApp, we're going to be aggressive, we're going to take market share from SMS. We'll do a revenue share deal with you. And I know that they were shown the door. They were escorted kind of out of the room because I think the carriers felt that there was RCS coming and, this is what we do and that's what you do. Now, I think that was a while ago. I think things have moved on. And I think what I'm coming to is that I completely agree with what you're saying. And I think that there's an opportunity now, right now is probably the time that, perhaps with MEF's help, I don't know, with somebody else's help to construct how do you kind of enter that value chain? I know my nephews are on Twitch gaming all the time, and I've seen it. They're receiving business A2P messages in that channel now. We're not even talking about Twitch here. We've never mentioned it once. And I think if we don't start having that conversation, you're going to lose even more revenue. So I think it's gone off the screen, but OTT messaging, that for me is Twitch, is TikTok, is Instagram. We need to get into that conversation because you're going to, carriers, aggregators potentially going to lose a lot of revenue to these other channels. So I'll hold that thought. I'll internalize that kind of back at MEF. RCS first strategy. And I think we probably look at this kind of monetizing other OTT channels and seeing how we can help with that, both for the carriers and aggregators and others as well. So sorry, I went off on one a bit there, but it's a recurring theme. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Asa, and everybody else. Okay.